Jurgen, first of all, what's your reaction to the fact that the owners have found the resolution in the row over ticket prices now?
That's how I, to be honest, knew the owners since I'm here. I think in the world of football, it's difficult to. It's not too easy to be an owner of a club if you to prove that you are really interested in the club. So I know it. I'm here since 4.5 months, and I know our owners as persons. They really care. They really care about the club and the interests of the supporters and things like this. And the reaction was a clear reaction, was a clear sign, and hopefully it's understood as what it is. A proof of their real interest in this club and all the things around the club. I'm really fine. I'm really fine with it, and it's a good thing.
I know we seem to ask you every news conference, but given that he played a part against West Ham coming on as a substitute, how is Daniel Sturridge and how is he progressing now as he continues his recovery and comeback?
Yeah, it's he played I think about 70 minutes, roundabout in West Ham. So he did normal recovery after training with less minutes. For example, he could have trained a little bit more, but was in all the things involved with the players who played the full time against West Ham, and so like Devok Origi, for example, too, so it was good. He feels good. Heard nothing else, but. Of course, we have to think about how can we manage now the minutes and things like this. And but he made a big step in the last week, of course, and so that's good. But I made until now no final decisions with starting lineup or things like this. But until now, everything is like it should be.
And obviously, if selected, Christian Benteke can make an appearance against his former club, but he hasn't scored in 11 appearances over the past few weeks. I just wonder at the moment, is it a case of a confidence issue? What more can you do to get the best out of him in front of goal again?
Yeah, I can do a lot of things, but at the end it's like it always is. It's not only with Christian, and the last and the most important help comes from the player by himself. So that's of course this. So you have to go through. And I saw really good signs in West Ham. It was not the easiest period of his career. He really fought, and having this number of opportunities is a good sign. So if he had no opportunity, that would be a much bigger problem. But of course, it's not too easy. That's how it is. We all what we are doing is in the middle of a public interest, so you cannot hide yourself, so that's how it is. And I talked to him, of course, a few times, gave him some advice as a human being, as a coach, as whatever, and he's really try to come back in the easy moment, but that's all to say about this. That's how it is with all the players in the squad, and especially, of course, if a striker don't score goals for a longer period, then it's more interesting if nobody else strikes often enough or scores often enough. So that's the situation. But there are worse situations in the world, and even in the world of football. So we have to carry on. He has to carry on. That's all.
With him being so successful at Aston Villa as well, does part of you think that going back there and maybe getting his first goal of the year could be that reinvigoration that he needs?
I have not the best experiences with players coming back to former clubs. It's usually they make himself more pressure. It's you want to show extra. So I don't know exactly about the history with Christian and Aston Villa, if they will welcome him with open arms or weapons with whistles. I don't know, and that's not too interesting. But that's not an issue for me to make decisions. It's professional football, and it's one game or two games in a year, or only one game going to the former club if you are new in the club. So. No, it's up to the situation in which you are as a person, and how I said, no final decisions for a lineup, and no, I really don't hope too often before a game that I think, come on, maybe this is the game, something changed. Really, so it's about work, and it's about the circumstances, and we will see how we will which lineup we will choose for Aston Villa, but it's not because of personal histories with this club.
A couple of other players that have come back who may not have had the same sort of limelight, but how important have the return of Divock Origi and Philippe Coutinho been for you?
Yeah, of course, it's very important. That's how. If you are really interested in us, then you see that the situation in the squad is difficult in this case, that a few players had a lot of games, maybe too much, and a few players had injuries, and when they come back, it's completely normal that you don't come back in your best shape, in your 100% best career shape, whatever. So you need to come in, and that's what we have done to manage. It's not now they are back, bring them all together and wait how far they can go. So that's the situation. But coming back to a positive view on the situation, they are back. That's really good. But we have to manage the minutes, though. That's how it is, and we'll see how we stay. But they especially Phil, because he played a little bit less. It was 55 minutes, I would say. So he made the normal sessions with the team who didn't play. Okay, after the game it was a little bit different, but yesterday we made a normal session. So all of them are in a good way, and for us, great news.
Jurgen, what about those younger, more inexperienced players who did play in midweek? Have they given you something to think about? Will they get more chances to progress with their development, possibly maybe consider them for league games?
Yeah. But I think I spoke about this a few weeks ago. It was a perfect opportunity, a perfect moment for us to leave them from the leash and let them show let us show how strong our faith is in them, and let them show how good they are. So it was a great joy to watch these boys. So we can speak about all the stories behind these guys. What I said after the game, if you think about Kevin Stewart and his situation a few weeks ago, and then games like this was for him perfect. I think it's really hard for him to get a smile out of his face in this moment. Okay, with the pain in his foot, it's maybe more easy. And the same for Pedro Chilwell. It was a great performance. I think it's the biggest honor you can get in a game like this. After 20 minutes, Mr. Noble got a job to look after you. That's a really, really good thing. And you have Brad Smith with his speed. He will always be in situations like he was in a game, but you saw in the same situation what he, or in this case, or other players in other cases have to improve. So that's good. Not too good, I think. Brad has a little injury out of the game. First he thought, and we thought it's a cramp. It's a little bit more, I think. So it was a high-intensity game, of course, for fullbacks, but he came through, but afterwards he had some problems. If you then see Thiago Ilori, that is, when I came here, I didn't know that he's a LFC player, to be honest. Yeah, of course not. He was at Aston Villa. Then I got, time after time, I got information about all the players on loan, and then I saw him and centre half. And you heard about the problems, and he didn't play at Aston Villa, and he was not even playing in the second team. And you got him here, and you see then the potential. So that's good. It's really good, but they have all to learn, they have all to improve. But they gave the sign, but now that is one sign, and always in life, it's all about consistency. And so they have to go on. They have to accept the situation, and to see. Really, it's really important that they see the positive thing in the situation. That they made the next step, and now train. And then, be available more often. That's all.
Yeah, again, Liverpool look particularly threatening going forward against West Ham, and the period in the match where Daniel Sturridge and Christian Benteke were on together, and also Divock Origi. Can you envisage in league games where you would consider starting with Sturridge and Benteke for a longer period of time?
So usually I think it was a risky formation after our changes when we had Jordan Ibe, Christian, Daniel and Divock on the pitch, and defended in this time the midfield with Pedro and the limping Kevin Stewart. So, but we want to win the game. So, and in this moment we saw the chance for doing this. But I don't think it's a lineup, likely or probable lineup for a Premier League game. So you need the balance in your game. You need rhythm in your game, and you cannot force it with a lineup. Bring all your strikers in the club and hope that one of them will score a goal. That's not how it works. So, but for this game it was okay. But of course, Daniel and Christian can play together. Of course, how we saw in Southampton, Daniel and Divock can play together. But it's always about what do you need for the special opponent? So it's football. Sometimes it's easy, but sometimes it seems to be easier than it is. You cannot ignore the other team. So you have to defend in different spaces, because they all have the possibility to get the ball and to do something. You have to defend this, and for this, it's the next problem we spoke about. Players played too much. Players played more injured and are not then in the first moment at 100%, and especially if the players come in, they didn't play really often together, so it's not possible that the style and the style of play is tuned. So it's take the individual qualities and then maybe it works or it works not. So but we play now, and hope when all the players stay fit, then we can train. We had yesterday a really good session. We had the day before a really good session. So with the players who didn't play at West Ham, so that was very important for us. And yeah, now let's go to Aston Villa.
Aston Villa looked absolutely dead and buried a couple of weeks ago, and they still face a big job if they're going to stay in the Premier League. But just signs over the last few weeks that they've tightened up at the back. They've won a few games, and sometimes it's dangerous to meet teams at this stage of the season when they're on the up and getting a bit more confidence.
This is one way you can see it, for sure. So you can say they have nothing to lose anymore. They have to win the games and they have to take the risk. They have to do a lot of things. But at the end, there's another possible way to see it. That you say, of course, it's not coincidence that we are on the 9th place. It's not coincidence that Aston Villa is on this place. So there are a few things you have to use. You have to avoid a few things, and you have to use a few things. That's how it is, so that's how you prepare a game. And at the end, it's of course not our thing to think about what Aston Villa's target is for this game. So we have to be strong. We have our own targets, and we have to do everything to reach it. And that's what our job is. And Premier League is always difficult, so you can ignore this fact. It's always difficult. So you don't have to think about it, and it's difficult in Aston Villa. But don't forget, it's difficult for Aston Villa if we are good to win against us. So, and that's the first thing we have to show. If we show this, we can win.
Jurgen, 5 goals in 6 appearances for Roberto Firmino recently. Is it the way that he's been playing? Is it a sign of things to come and what he can eventually bring to this team?
Yeah, of course. He's a good player. There's no doubt about this. But now you see, a few weeks ago we had no striker. Now we have 4 striker. And you sit there and ask, and he's in good shape. He's back, and come on, let them all play. So that's not how it works. So we have really important games, and it's not about satisfying single players and say, that's not how it works. So we have to find a formation. A stable formation. So we always create chances. We didn't score often enough, maybe, and we concede a few goals too much. Of course, that's how it is. So that's and a lot of players are in good shape. most of the time, and then we have to try to use this. So finding a formation is always the challenge for a manager. So it's good. Roberto is much more stable. There's much more consistency in his performances than it was when I came here. Maybe before, I don't know too much about the time before, but now he shows what he's capable of, and that's good for all of us.
With Coutinho's return, does he offer the side something a little bit different with the skill set he has?
Yeah, I think it was one of the smartest free kicks in football history. You don't see this too often, so it was really, really cool. And Phil Coutinho in good shape. I don't know the names of too many teams in the world where they would not play. So that's of course, but he had two, not too long, but long-term injuries. 4 or 5 weeks in the middle of the season is not too easy. So he have to come back in his rhythm. That's how it works, and that we try to help him on this way. But of course, if Phil is back, he's always somebody who can make the difference in a game, but not alone. And it's not only about quality; it's about physical possibilities in the right moment. And I think it's not possible that he's at 100%. Doesn't work like this, but he's in a really good way. And for us, that's the next good news for sure. But how I said, bring all these ex-injured players together, plus the good shape players, and then you see, okay, now who will defend our own goal? So that's not too easy. But it's the first time that I have this problem. Hopefully, so usually everybody who could walk played, and then now we have to who could stand up in the morning. And now we have the situation that we maybe hopefully that we have to make some decisions. Where you can easily say after the game, I would have done it different. So that's the nice thing of your job.
And so on that aspect, I think team use wise, have you got anybody who's like to come back? Joe Allen, something like that? Or?
No. Joe, unfortunately, is out for a while. I think Joe is a good example. So that he was on a good way, a really good way, and we tried to manage time after his injury when I came here playing, and then he's in good shape. Then he got a little knock on the shoulder. Played against Sunderland. I think usually in the perfect moment of his shape. Muscle stops not because of intensity of something, only because this is how it is. Usually you need. In the idle world, you have a long-term pre-season, and then play without injuries, and then nothing will happen and things like this. But yeah, I think we have to wait a little bit for him. It's a muscle thing.
Anybody else close to
come back?
Dejan, okay.
Not for Aston Villa, hopefully for the next game. It's not that big thing. It's more about a strange feeling in the muscle. It's that's the same. Was injured and pushed back, but it's not a real serious thing. But for Aston Villa, I think he's no opportunity. Martin Skriddle is back on the pitch outside, but needs his time, obviously.
Stephen Colker.
Stephen had back problems before the West Ham game. Yeah. Next after West Ham, still something like rehab, and then yesterday he trained normal, so he's available.
Jordan and Cameron. Jordan Rossiter.
No, Jordan is. Obviously, he's still not in team training, so that needs time. And Cameron Brannigan, he was these young boys like Pedro and Cameron. They are sometimes ill, So, like kids are, and yeah. And he was 1 week ill, and when I saw him before the West Ham game, I'm not sure, but I think he lost 2-3 kilos, so, and he has not too much, so it was not too good. So he's back, but I think we have to feed him a few days, and he's again available.